Do you love writing dictation, but every now and then have a class that just can't really handle it? Or maybe you want to do running dictation kind of activities, but you just need a day that's a little bit lower energy and can't even take like the craziness. Even though it's not a high energy day for you necessarily, sometimes just being surrounded by that much oomph is a little bit more than we feel like. Maybe you're not feeling well or anything like that. What I wanted to do with you today is to share some different ways you can take a running dictation activity and kind of mix it up and use it in different ways. So that way your students are still able to practice the same language components, but you could maybe let one class that can really handle running dictation do running dictation, and another class that really can't do something else. Let's talk about what those something else's might be. Hey, my name is Ashley, aka Senorita Spanish, and if you're new here, I just want to make sure that you know that links to everything that I mentioned will be down in the description box below. All right, let's get into this. So I have a whole bunch of different activities that are like this, but the example that we're going to walk through today is one for saludos y despedidas. So if you are maybe working on greetings vocab with your students at the beginning of the year, this is perfect. So here are all the different options included. The running dictation slips, in case you want to hang them up and have students do that active movement component. Dictation, where you record and illustrate. Dictation, where you record sentences, check for accuracy, and then illustrate. Dictation, where they record sentences and translate. Drawing sheet, where you can use that as kind of an extension after they've done a dictation activity. Listen, write, and draw sheets. Extension activities, in case you really want to stretch this out, plus the audio files, so that way you don't have to read the sentences over and over and over again. I also include a script and a list of the included vocabulary, just so that you can make sure that your students know all the words, or if you maybe have to footnote some of them or put some on the whiteboard for them, just in case that list is there for you so you don't have to worry about it. There's also an easy subplan page for you, so that way if you were in a pinch and you just wanted to print and leave this for a subplan, you're good to go. Okay, so let's talk about running dictation first. And this is one of my favorite activities, but like I said, not all classes can handle it. So when you're doing the running dictation activities with your students, these are the pre-made slips that you're gonna hang up in the hallway. So you would just cut these out, hang them up, and like I said, you can put them out in the hallway or you can put them in a shared space. You can also, like if you don't have the ability to take your students out of the classroom, you can just hang them like that on the wall, and then the student has to flip it up to read it, okay? And that way works too. I've also printed them smaller in case, and if you need a tutorial on how to print full-size PDFs a little bit smaller, I'll link that video for you in the description box down below, because sometimes if you're doing it all in the same classroom, it's nice to have them a little bit smaller so they can't just look over and read it from their desk. So there are two versions of the running dictation sheet, and they are almost the exact same. The only difference is down here at the bottom. This one has a space that says, hey, when you're done, you need to check with Profe for accuracy, right? Because when you're doing running dictation, one partner is running out in the hall, memorizing a sentence, coming back, saying it to their partner, the partner is listening, and then writing it down. There's a lot of space for some errors, and we want to encourage them to be really thinking about the language as they're coming back, or thinking about the language that they're hearing as they're writing. So having that accuracy check, I have found, helps students really be on it instead of just being like, oh, it's this. And you're like, go try again. The other way these sheets are set up is when they're all done and they've checked for accuracy, if that's the version that you picked, or if they're just all done, then this space up here is for them to illustrate the sentences. When I would do this with students, what I would do is I'd have them work in pairs, and since there's, one sheet of paper, I just have them cut the boxes and then they color them. So that way they're not like, oh, my partner's coloring those ones and I just have to wait. No, just cut up the boxes, color them. Okay, next option for your students who can't handle running dictation is just dictation. So this is where that included audio file comes in handy, because then you don't have to say the sentences out loud over and over and over again. Or if you're going to be gone, it's really easy to load it into a secured LMS, meaning a website that your students have to log in to access. So what they're going to do is they're going to listen to the sentence and then they're going to write it. On the line below, they're going to record a translation of the sentence. So if you can see how that's set up, there's double lines for each question. So they're going to record the Spanish and then record the English. And I do have a way for them to mark like, I'm not sure, just because I want to encourage them to try their best, even if it's not perfect. And they can tell me if they think, oh, I'm not quite sure about this. I find that helps them be more willing to take risks about it and not just get anxious. This is kind of a follow-up / extension activity to go with the dictation sheet. So once they're done writing and translating, you can copy this on the back, or you can use this as a fast finisher. They're just illustrating all of the sentences. So this next one is a read and draw sheet. So you can see that instead of them running and doing the sentences in running dictation, they're going to read the sentences and illustrate them. This is what I would do for students who are absent during running dictation. They just read the sentences and draw them, and that way they're still getting that input and still getting that practice. So next up are these listen, write, and draw sheets, and these are something that I would print back to back, but I just wanted you to be able to see them because sometimes the camera looks a little weird. So this is what they look like, front, back, and it's the same sentences. So they're going to listen and they're going to record the sentence that they hear, and then once they're done recording all of them, they'll go back and they'll illustrate them, and then if they need to add color, I always tell them to add color. And then down on the very bottom it says, which sentence do you feel most confident? Write the letters here. If there's any sentences they're not sure about, they can write the letters there. Again, I just like to give them that space to tell me, like, what do you feel sure about? What don't you feel sure about? And it's good for assessment, like formative assessment purposes, but it's also good for that whole encouraging them, like, it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay not to be perfect. I just want you to try your best. And so really encouraging them and giving them that space to communicate how they feel about it to me. Okay, last piece is this extension piece. And this is something that if you're going to leave this for a subplan, you can choose whether or not you want to do this because this is students working together. So sometimes I know that's not ideal with a sub, and sometimes you're like, yes, great, please let them do something else in case they finish. So this one, it says, your turn, write 10 sentences related to the topic in Spanish. Remember, this example is saludos y despedidas. So they're writing their 10 sentences on this sheet, then they're going to find a partner and they're going to take turns reading their 10 sentences out loud. As their partner is reading the sentences to them, they're going to use the back side of their sheet. Again, didn't print back to front to show you. It makes it easier to just show you this way. But on the other side of the sheet, it says mi pareja se llama, and so they can record their partner's name so you know who was working with each other, and then there's space for them to record their 10 sentences from their partner, and then at the bottom it says what went well about this activity. Again, it's a little bit of reflection. In this section, I'm encouraging them to reflect on their communication skills because it's listening to a partner speak with sentences that they wrote. So sometimes, right, communication breaks down because we've got learners and they maybe put things in a wrong order, or they used a word that didn't make sense, or their partner didn't know the word. And so just encouraging them to share, how did that communication go, right? You're talking to each other. Well, you're listening to each other speak on sentences that they had wrote. So what went well and what could have made it gone better, and like that sort of stuff. It makes it a lot easier for me to see how did working together go, especially if, you weren't there. So there you have it. That's one way you can take running dictation and reuse it, recycle it into a whole bunch of different activities. So that way, if you have one class that can handle and loves running dictation, and you have other classes that cannot, or if you're going to be gone, options. So I have a whole bunch of these pre-made sets for you that I was, as I was just showing these different handouts and all the things that are already made for a whole bunch of different topics. Make sure you check out the link down in the description box below to grab a pre-made set for you to use. And of course, if you have any questions, just drop me a comment. I am happy to help you out. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.